you. My mouth is watering, guys. And that's it, guys. I lost my arepa. That's okay. Good thing we made this entire batch, eh? We're gonna put our little. Hi guys, and welcome to Around the World at Ksenia's Table. I'm Ksenia and this is my channel, and today we're going to be cooking from a kitchen that's near and dear to my heart, and it's my husband's home kitchen, Colombia. So join me and we'll tell you all about the traditional food of Colombia and what we're making today. So if it's your first time tuning into our show, we at Around the World at Ksenia's Table, we feature foods from different countries that are either a part of my childhood and upbringing or that I've either traveled to or had firsthand experience with. We're never gonna cook from countries we've never been to or have never tried. So you can count on us that everything you're gonna taste here has actually been personally experienced by us. So today, like I said, we're gonna go to a kitchen that's near and dear to my heart, and that's Colombia. My husband is Colombian and our children are half Colombian, half Russian Jewish. So it's a kitchen that we get to experience usually at least once a year when we go back to visit Colombia, but also whenever we cook Colombian food at home. So today we're gonna cook typical Colombian dishes. We're gonna make arepas de queso or arepas con queso, which is cheese arepas, and we're gonna make Colombian aji. Aji is known as empanada sauce, or it's like the hot sauce of Colombia. It is amazing, it's not spicy, and it tastes so refreshing and layered. And if you are scared of spice, don't worry, this is one that you will love. So come with me, we're gonna get started with the arepas, and then I'll tell you all about them. So arepas, the base of arepas is something called masarepa, which is flour that's made out of corn that's already been cooked, dried, and then ground. So in essence, it's gonna be twice cooked corn flour. You buy it in bags. Pan and Goya are the two most typical ones that you'll see in North America, but this one is pan. So this is yellow masarepa. You can also use white masarepa. So the way it works is that you're gonna start by pouring in 1 cup of water. The water needs to be warm. We're gonna put it in a bowl. Now, we're gonna take off all of our rings because this will involve some hand mixing, and I want to make sure that we don't get anything in the crevices. We're going to take 1 cup of masarepa, which, like I said, is corn that's already been cooked, dried, and ground into a powder. Now, I like to kind of let it. So now, while I'm going to add it, I'm gonna mix it a little bit while I'm adding it. And we're essentially rehydrating the corn, okay? So now, I'm gonna have it. This is enough. If we need more, we will add more. So we're gonna add that. Then we're going to add salt, about a pinch of salt, so not a lot, but also not a little, because you want these to have flavor. The masarepa itself is quite sweet. Now we're also gonna add oil, about 1 tablespoon, but it can be a bit more depending on the texture. And then we're going to add about 1/2 cup of cheese. So traditional cheese that you would use is usually kind of like soft farmer's cheese or hard farmer's cheese. There's not a ton of variety in cheeses in Colombia. We're using a mix of cheddar and mozzarella because it's gonna melt really nicely. I can also use Jarlsberg. I like it for the nutty flavor. And sometimes I just use plain mozzarella, and that's perfect as well. And we're gonna get in there with our hands. And you really have to touch it with your hands to check if the texture is right. So it really needs to be able to come together like this, and you need to be able to form patties out of it. So with just 1 touch and finish mixing, I know that the texture here is perfect. It's exactly the texture that my mother-in-law gets when she makes arepas. And every time they come, my children ask them to make arepas. So they make arepas every time. We also buy frozen arepas because the other type of arepa we love is arepas de yuca, arepas de manioc. Yuca manioc is a type of tuber, and we really like arepas from them. And I don't feel like making them because those are a bit more work than this. This one is really easy, and honestly, it tastes amazing. So you should make these arepas yourself and not buy them frozen. We're gonna let this dough rest for about 5 minutes. You can cover it with a kitchen towel and just give it 5 minutes of rest time. And hi guys, welcome back. If things look a little bit different than before, there's a good reason for it. And that's because we already recorded this bit without sound. So we had to re-record it now a second time. So there's gonna be a little bit jump into the future and then you go back into the past. But that's video for you. You learn something new every day. Okay, so now we're going to make our ají. In case you're not sure what ají is a Colombian sauce that's typically served with empanadas, arepas. It can also be served with meats and things like that. It's similar to chimichurri, but it's a little bit spicy, whereby Colombia pretty much has its only claim to hot sauce. There's not a lot of spice used in Colombia. Ají is the closest one we get to it. So let's make it. So for our ají, we're gonna start with cilantro, and you really wanna use all parts of the herb. So the bottoms and the tops. And we're going to put them straight into our blender. So you don't really need to chop finely. The blender is going to, if you have a good blender, it's going to do the job. If your blender is not very strong, you may wanna chop this a bit more finely, but my blender can handle it. Okay, the next thing we're going to put in our ají is little jalapenos. Now I recommend removing the seeds. Then we're gonna plunk that in. And now, whenever you're handling jalapenos, if you have sensitive skin, I strongly recommend you wear gloves, as with any hot pepper, or you wash your hands really well. Now, after we did cilantro and jalapeno peppers, we're going to add white vinegar. We're going to add water, which is gonna help all this emulsify. We're going to add salt and sugar. We're going to add a little bit of lime juice. This part is really up to you. 1 tablespoon is enough, which is usually about 1 wedge. But if you want it nice and limey, like a bit more acidic, you can go with more. My husband is not a fan of acidity. He prefers the vinegar flavor, so we're gonna keep it like that. Then for onion, we have our green onion. And we're gonna put, again, all the parts with the exception of the head. And the final thing is, you don't have to, but I like ají with 1 tomato in it. It makes it a bit more watery and a little bit sweeter and adds a bit of flavor that isn't just white stuff. Now, you can also add garlic. You don't have to. I'm not going to for this version. But if you like garlic, you can add some garlic to it. So that's really all there is to making ají. We're gonna blend it up. This is my blender. Gonna put it. And that's really all there is to it. The blender does all the work, and look at that rich, vibrant green color. I just love this. Look at that. Look at this. And we have a little bit of ají left to the side that I will definitely marinate something in it, because that's another great use for ají. You can use it to marinate. It goes really well with chicken thighs, like boneless chicken thighs. If you marinate in ají, it's gonna be super flavorful because the acidity in the lime and the onion and vinegar is gonna help break down the tissue a little bit. So that's the ají. Cover it up with our lid, and we're gonna save it for later. And meanwhile, we're gonna go check on our arepas. The mix looks good, if you can see it. What you want is for not to feel dry, but also not be sopping wet. You wanna be able to work with it. So if you put it in your hands, you want it to be able to keep its shape like this. So as you can see, this isn't too crumbly, but it's also, if you put your hands, it's not soaking wet. So it really is about striking a fine balance, and you need to be able to work them like this. Okay, so this is a good shape, means they rested well. So now we're gonna start shaping our arepas. So basically I take about a palmful for each. I make a divot in it. Some people will make big arepas. My mother-in-law makes small arepas, and that's how I am used to making them nowadays. So I'm gonna put about half a tablespoon of cheese inside each one. So this was probably too much. And then you're gonna make like a divot in your arepa, and then you're gonna try and fold it in. Now you might need to add a little bit more masa on the top. The idea is that you take enough in your hand from the beginning to cover the two sides. And that's it. Then you kind of give it a little bit of a flattening, and you put it on your board. And don't worry, we're gonna give these arepas a beautiful shape at the end. You really want the cheese to be a melty one, because you want it to kind of come out. So in Colombia, queso fresco is used for this. And if you can find queso fresco in a store next to you, that's really the ideal cheese. It doesn't have to be Colombian. There's Peruvian, Ecuadorian queso fresco, Mexican queso fresco. It's just a soft, not aged cheese. And it tends to melt beautifully. So while we're gonna do the rest, I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna give our arepas a nice shape. And the secret to that is a cookie cutter. So we're going to take our cookie cutters, and this is just a regular cookie cutter kit that I have. I use it around the holidays. I use it whenever I want to make cookies. And for arepas, I used the biggest one. And then I put it around, and I kind of go like this. So it's the same principle as a cookie. You know, if you want your cookies to have a perfect shape, you take them out halfway through the bake, and you do this. So the same thing with the arepas. And then you can kind of tap it. You can even turn them and do the same on the other side. And then you have perfectly shaped arepas. Okay, guys, so I finished shaping all of my arepas. We're gonna put them on a board with parchment paper, and then we're gonna roll all of them up. And the reason for the parchment paper is just because it makes it easier to transfer for when you're frying. So back to our trusty thing. And then I do it the same on both sides. Flatten it slightly. Flatten it slightly. Beauty. And if your arepa is a little bit bigger than your cookie cutter, that's fine. Just you don't have to worry about giving it a perfect shape. So if you took too much masa, as I did in the last ones, don't worry about the perfect shape. And that's it. See you guys soon, and it's time to frying. So our arepa pan we're using something that's called, traditional arepa pan is called the bodar. We are not using the abodare, and we are using a crepe pan, but any cast iron pan will do. So this one is cast iron on top, and that's exactly what we want. So we're gonna bring this to about high heat, and just like when you're making crepe, you're gonna start by adding butter or oil. So we're gonna add butter to the pan, and this is gonna be the first, when we're first starting to cook them, that's when we're gonna add the butter. So we're gonna get started with our first batch of arepas. I'm gonna add them here. I'm gonna fill our pan. Whoop. And then we're gonna let them cook. We're gonna keep the batter near our stovetop, and we're gonna add butter as it needs. So we will need to keep an eye on it. But this is gonna cook for about 5 minutes or so on one side, and then we're gonna do another 5 minutes on the other side. Wanna cook it on medium-high heat to make sure they get a nice little brown. So let's go back, and we're gonna keep an eye on it and check in on it every once in a while. Okay, so our arepas are done. Look at that color. That is exactly the color you want. You have the brown spots from where the cheese and the masarepa interacted with the butter, and then we're gonna just transfer them onto our plate. Now you can, I filled, because I made arepas con queso, arepas de queso, I filled mine with cheese. But if you're not a fan or if you're vegan, you don't have to add cheese. Those arepas, if they're just made out of masarepa, you can follow the exact same recipe, but don't add cheese. And those are typically made with white masarepa. So cheese ones are made with yellow masarepa. The non-cheese, the regular arepas, are made with white masarepa. That tends to be the visual cue. My mouth is watering, guys. So these are our arepas. Look at how beautiful they are. Look at the color. Here, look at them. Look at how beautiful they are. Look at the color. Oh, it smells like cheese and cooked corn and butter, all the good things in life. And now let's have some arepas with ají. So we're gonna take one arepa. Make sure that these pretty guys are here. And we're gonna get a little bit of our ají. I'm gonna put a bit of our sauce. And that's it, guys. I lost my arepa. That's okay. We're gonna put it back. We're gonna clean our counter so we don't have a huge mess on our hands. All part of it, right? All part of it. So we're gonna put more ají. Good thing we made this entire batch, eh? So we're gonna put our lovely little ají and together the smell of the vinegar and the herbs and the lime, it's to die for. Let's cut it. The cheesiness. Cheesy, delicious. A bit of vinegar. Here, I'm gonna cut this a little. The combination of the cheese and the masarepa with the vinegar is so good. I love it, guys. I could eat this. I swear to God, I could eat this all day. As soon as I land in Colombia, I go and get an arepa with cheese. So guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button, and we'll see you next week at Around the World with Ksenia's Table.